Alright guys, how's it going, and welcome to this top 10. It's all about the top 10 cars I am dying to drive in Forza Horizon 3. Now they're in no particular order because it's very hard to choose out of the hundreds of cars which is in this game, but feel free to let me know yours in the comment section below. But for now, let's get started. The first one is going to be the 2017 Nissan GTR R35. It is an astonishing looking car now. I wasn't a massive fan of the R35 at the start, but when the black edition came along and the Nismo came along, I started to warm to it. But the 2017 year, with the whole facelift and everything, it is a car that I can finally say I am a big fan of, because even the littlest touches on cars can make up to be a big difference. For example, the new Porsche Panamera. I absolutely hated the first generation Porsche Panamera, but I really like this new one because it's kind of like a 918 at the back and the new Cayman in Boxster at the front. So power is up from 545 horsepower to 565 horsepower. I know you can't really tell the difference, like 20 horsepower when you're driving things, but it's meant to be a lot edgier, it's meant to be a lot more focused, if that is technically possible, because the GTR is already pretty capable already, but the 2017 one is looking to step up the game even more, which I cannot wait. We've had a little bit of a sneak peek with it in Need for Speed 2015, but I'm really glad that it's in a Forza game now, and I cannot wait to see what it's like when we blast it through Australia. Now, I've been ranting and raving about the next car for what feels like months now. It is the Ariel Nomad, essentially an off-road version of the Ariel Atom. Now, I tried to recreate this in Forza Horizon 2 not that long ago with the Ariel Atom V8, and a lot of you loved that. It was near enough, kind of like the Nomad, but obviously it didn't have the full road cage, it didn't have like the windscreen, etc, but it was a really cool concept. But the fact we're going to be actually driving the real thing in Horizon 3 is great, because I think Top Gear actually named it the most fun car of 2015, which is a big deal, because it's just bonkers. Look at it, man. I've got no other words to say. It's sheer bonkers, and you can expect a video on day 1 or day 2, depends if I can get through everything, of this little thing right here. Now, unlike the Atom V8, this thing only has a 300 horsepower Honda engine, I believe, so it's going to be wicked fast, because when you've got a 300 horsepower engine in a car which weighs this little, it's going to be a rocket. It's going to be an absolute rocket on or off the road. We can finally say that about an Ariel product. So to something I will be keeping most firmly on the main road is the Aston Martin Vantage GT12. When it comes to looks, I am speechless. This thing is probably one of the most bonkers Aston Martins in terms of looks there ever has been to leave Aston's showroom, because just look at that wing though, man. The wing is mental, and just all the liveries and the vinyls and stuff. Oh, I can go on about this car for days. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the standard V12 Vantage and the Vantage S. It's just going to be wicked to drive this thing, because as I've said before, I've driven it in Project Cars and it was surprisingly good, even though Project Cars, as we all know, isn't a great game. It's good for track selections and stuff like that, but it's an okay game. But the GT12, when it came in, it was a really big highlight for me, but I've always wanted that, just like the 2017 GTR in a Forza game, and it's finally here. But I actually seen a Vantage GT8 at the Ignition Festival a few weeks back, and if it sounds anything close to that in-game, then holy moly, our ears are going to be bleeding. So you can expect a full review of this car within the first week of Horizon 3 dropping, but there's nothing much else to say. I'm just so hyped to drive this. Now, moving on to probably the most mental car on my list, the Ferrari F12 Tdf. Need I say any more? Because we've all seen Chris Harris's review on this on the new Top Gear, quotation marks, new Top Gear. That was probably one of the highlights for me, because you can see his true passion for like car reviewing and driving cars and that, unlike some of the others. He's like, apart from Rory Reid, he's like the proper only person that really cares about cars on that show, and they can do it very, very well. At least in my opinion, guys. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. But I think Sabine's pretty good as well. I like Sabine. But yeah, we all know what we think of Chris Evans. Thank fuck he's left. Anyway, getting back to the car, and we get to see all the brand new aerodynamics on the car and everything. For example, the new hood layout, the new front bumper, which is way more aerodynamic and a lot more fierce looking, the new side skirts, and the slits on the back, which really reminds me of the old 250 GTO. And I think that's kind of what they were harking back to. It's such a good looking car, and I love the back of it as well, especially the black strip of carbon fibre between the tail lights. So cool, and I love the window design as well. It's quite a cool looking shape. But you can expect to hear and see a lot of tyre smoke coming from me and this thing in the streets of Australia pretty damn soon. And speaking of tyre smoke, we've got the Holden HSV GTS. How much more cooler can you get than a 575 horsepower ute? Seriously, how much more cooler can you get? Because this thing has more power than a BMW M6. Yeah, that is how much beef this is packing, man. It is crazy, absolutely crazy. And I just love the design of it. It's like a muscle car at the front and a pickup at the back. God, I love you Australians, man. I love you Australians. They're really ambitious in your car design. But this is probably in my top 3 of the most hyped cars. I mean, as I said, it's not in any particular order, but if I was listing them, this would be in my top 3. I just love the layeriness about it, like the growly front end, and then on the back we've got blooming big quad exhausts and stuff, and the rims as well, they're big and brash and they're out in your face and stuff like that. Oh, it's just a great looking car in my eye. If you're looking for like a cool little muscle-y thing, this is what I would look for. And the fact that it's actually got a truck bed is so much more cooler, and I really hope we can actually take the top off of the bed in Horizon 3. That'd be a really cool option. So moving over to the mad crazy Swedes at Koenigsegg and Christian von Koenigsegg himself. Thank you very much for creating this car, and thank you Playground Games and Turn 10 for bringing it into Forza. It is the Koenigsegg Magera. We all know the story about this. It's a 1500 horsepower hypercar, or could we call it a mega car now? I think we can call it a mega car, and it's only got one gear. So I am very tempted to see what the acceleration is going to be like in terms of like getting going, but apparently it can do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, which isn't a surprise because look at the aerodynamics on this thing. It's essentially, it's a more streamlined Agera, I like to think, but I love how they've finally went for a different look in the front and the back. The side is kinda the same, but the front and the back it's completely new, which I really like, and the deployable spoiler as well is really cool. I've also driven it in Drive Club as well, and it was very leery in terms of noise. So we can only wait and see if this thing is going to be as mad as its predecessors. For example, the CCX, which I drove in Forza 4 recently. If you've not seen that, then I'll leave a link in the description below. And the Agera R. I'm not really including the normal Agera because that was kind of tame. Yeah, I know you don't normally associate them words with Koenigsegg, but the 1-to-1 was kind of like the step closer to this thing, so I cannot wait for it. Also, I've got to mention the interiors of Koenigsegg's. They look freaking fantastic, but with this shot right here on the front, I have to say it is possibly one of my new favourite hypercars ever made. So sticking with the super / hypercars, we're moving over to Lamborghini, and we've got the Aventador SV. I mean, just looking at this thing gives me, let's just say, the James May fizz, because in this green with the doors up, oh, I mean, Alex from Car Throttle would get what I'm meaning by going "fwah," because I've seen their recent video about the, I think it's the Monterey Car Week or something. I might be getting that name wrong, but they went to Mazda Laguna Seca, they went to all these different events, and Alex was basically having a crisis the whole time, and that is essentially what happens to me when I see this thing, because I've actually seen 2 of these at the Gumball Rally. One was driven by one of my favourite DJs, Afrojack, and the other, I don't know who was driving it. I think it was one of his like friends and stuff, but it looked wicked and it sounded phenomenal. Now, I know this thing's already in Assetto Corsa. I have been trying to make a video with it, but my recording software is a wee bit fucky with Assetto Corsa on the PC, so I'm waiting until it comes to the consoles. So yeah, I think it kind of suits my driving style better on the consoles, but just to know that it's in Forza eventually is great. I'm not going to do a build on it or anything, because I think it's already got enough power, but I know some people will. But you never know, if you guys really want to see it, I will do. But I will be doing, just like the Aston Martin, I'll be doing a full-fledged review on this. So get pumped, get hyped. That's the fucking word I'm looking for. Get hyped, yeah, get hyped, man. Get hyped for it. And another car I'll be doing a review on is the cover boy, the Aventador SV's bigger brother, the Centenario. Oh, I mean, you know when I says the Koenigsegg Magera was one of my favourite hypercars? If you've seen the Roadster version of this, that is my new favourite hypercar of all time. It is so nice looking. I'll put a picture up on the screen right now of the Roadster version. It's all in one colour. It's kind of like this very, very kind of like glacier blue, like icy blue. And it's probably one of the best looking supercars slash hypercars I have seen in a long time. But every time I look at this car, it always reminds me of the Zentorno from GTA 5. And I think, honestly, Lamborghini took some inspiration from the Zentorno. It's weird though, I've been noticing that with some car companies recently, how they've looked at the GTA version and they kind of created a real life one, if you know what I mean, or like took some elements from the GTA version and put it into their car. Because I kind of noticed that with the Bugatti Chiron, because the front end of the Adder in GTA 5 is kind of more squarish looking, it's kind of more aggressive, and it's kind of like that on the Chiron. So I don't know if they took that from GTA 5, but it would be really, really cool if they did. So moving on to the last 2 cars, and they're at the completely different end of the scale from the Centenario and the Aventadors and stuff like that. We have got the Polaris, this little buggy thing, and holy shit, it looks like a lot of fun to stick a lot of power in, because I actually seen one of these yet again, same with some of the cars I mentioned before at the Ignition Festival. It was up in a stand and it's a lot bigger in person than it is in the pictures. It's actually quite large, if you know what I mean, but it's so cool looking, really, really cool. The fact that Playground are bringing in stuff like this, I just admire them more for it, because they want to stand out, and that's why I like them. They're not just bringing in every single thing that other people are. They're dishing themselves out. They're going for different cultures. They're going for different genres of vehicles, and they're bringing it in. And all I've got to say is hats off to you, because you're freaking fan-dabba-dozy. I especially love this shot where it's going through a sand dune and kicking up everything from its wheels. Very, very nice. And the sky is gorgeous in this, man. It's like a sapphire blue. I mean, I'm kind of a geek when it comes to all the geometral stuff like that and everything. Whew. I mean, that's why I like watching David Attenborough stuff, like all the animals and like the blooming universe and stuff, if you know what I mean. It's really cool and really, really fascinating, but you could probably tell with the statement that just says, I love exploring, and I would love to go exploring in this wee thing. And of course, I could not leave this off the list. Del Boy's Reliant, aka the Reliant Supervan 3. The hype is so freaking real for this, man. I know exactly what people are going to do. They're going to do roll challenges. I can see it coming. Guaranteed within the first week there's going to be a roll challenge from someone on this freaking site called YouTube. So yeah, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And hopefully not die with it when I do it. So yeah, I am... My face just lit up on the last week of the car reveals to see a three-wheeler finally in the Horizon games. And as I says, Morgan 3-wheeler, I hope that comes in. The PLP50, I really hope that comes in. And fingers crossed we could do an engine conversion to it, because I don't think we can shove like a 2JZ or anything into it, because one, the size of it is probably smaller than a 2JZ engine. I don't know, man, but yeah, I am just... Oh, it's such a dream come true, man, having 3-wheelers in Forza now. It just adds to the more fun factor. So that's going to do it, guys, for my top 10 cars I cannot wait to drive in Forza Horizon 3. As I said at the start, let me know yours in the comments below, and I'll be reading them as I always do every night. This should be pretty good because there's a lot of variety coming into Horizon 3, like buggies, utes, or more Australian cars, blooming hypercars, etc, etc, etc. So I'm really eager to see what you guys are looking forward to. But for now, if you have enjoyed the video, then a like always helps out, guys. Thank you very much for the support on these Horizon 3 videos. It is fantastic, and thanks for all the nice comments as well, saying, oh, I can't wait for your Horizon content, I can't wait for more top 10s. Really do appreciate it. It makes me smile. Really, really does. But apart from that, I won't keep you here any longer, guys. Thank you very much for watching again. Bring on Horizon 3, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace. I mean, would you ever think spitting the flames and everything? That is so unnatural. That is so unnatural, but fucking awesome. Fuck you, Duke boys. I don't need a charger. Here comes my 2JZ bloody FJ. Hell yeah, man. Here comes the jump. Woo!